Hello, and welcome to another episode of Space Marine Legions Explained. Today, I'll be discussing the evil versions of the Ultramarines, the bad guy Genericus, the Sons of Horus, 16th Legiones Astartes, the Sons of Horus. The Sons of Horus were made by fate the scions of heresy, the sons of the arch-traitor, and alongside their sire, first in infamy, and their name would resound as a curse throughout the scattered and war-torn realms of humanity. Such is their crime that it is easy now to forget that the past was very different. And once, they and their masters were lauded above all warriors of the Legiones Astartes and favoured in the Emperor's sight. Born as the 16th Legiones Astartes on Terra, they would rise to greatness as the Lunar Wolves, and fall into the abyss as the angels of ancient myth bearing the name of their Primarch. Before those dark days, they fought at the Emperor's side on Terra and throughout the early Great Crusade. They were as stalwart and indefatigable as any, their actions serving to exemplify all that it was to be a warrior of the Legiones Astartes. Brutal, ruthless, and unwavering, but also honourable. And once loyal beyond question, their history is the history of the ambition of the Imperium itself, and the flaws that broke its dreams of unification and glory asunder. Primogenitor, Horus Lupercal. Cognomen, Prior, the Lunar Wolves. Observe strategic tendencies, shock assault, harrowing actions, and strategic decapitation strikes. Noteworthy domains, Chthoniya, Serenax, resource tithe rights on 37 other primary worlds. Allegiance, Traitor Maximus. The Lunar Wolves. Much of the 16th Legion's early intake was drawn from the hunter clans of Terra's Dutigran Bowl and the Samsation subplate slums. Perpetual conflict and the harshness of life and the desolate margins had given these people the hard edge of ruthlessness and independence, and this character lay at the heart of the nascent legion. Ever they sought to be the first in glory, and struck with brutal finality before any other could lay claim to their kill. It was said of the 16th Legion that it was unleashed to begin and end wars its enemies did not yet know they were fighting. The first pacification of Luna at the very onset of the Great Crusade was perhaps the most famous battle of the Legion's early victories, and it was from here it earned its first name, for the Selenite clans were so shaken by their onslaught they pleaded for the Emperor to call off his wolves. The Legion's tally of victories would only swell, and its culture would rapidly evolve with the rediscovery of their Primarch on the planet of Chthoniya early in the Great Crusade, the first of the founding Primarchs to be reunited with his Legion. Horus took total command with an easy confidence, moulding the Legion to his own vision. The Lunar Wolves under Horus won many lauded victories during years of ceaseless conflict, but one would eclipse all others on Ulinor. The Imperium broke the greatest Orcoid empire in known existence, called by some the last true threat to humanity's domination of the galaxy. Here, Horus slew the overlord Erlak Erg with his own hand, and was proclaimed War Master for his deeds by the Emperor. In honor of Horus and his conquests, the 16th Legion would no longer be the Lunar Wolves. Their armor would be readorned in the cold green of a sea in storm. In place of the crescent moon and wolf's head, a single unblinking reptilian eye would stare from their pauldrons. Reborn, the Sons of Horus had risen with their father to an unrivaled height, recognized without exception as the first in glory amongst all of the Legiones Astartes. Tip of the spear. As the personal legion of the War Master, the 16th Legion was rarely absent from the forefront of the fighting, and its doctrines and tactics reflected this method of warfare. It excelled at the application of precise force against a specific weakness, its warriors favoring close-range fire saturation and landing the killing blow on a downed, outnumbered foe, a tactic drawn from the brutal gang traditions of their adopted world of Chthoniya. To facilitate this means of warfare, Horus preferred to avoid numerous layers of fixed organization. Instead of a formal structure, he would group companies and individual units together as required for the execution of a particular campaign. The commander of such a formation would usually be a senior captain. If the formation was especially large, then other captains would take on the role of lieutenants to the overall commander until the completion of the campaign. These formations rarely had formal titles, but the Sons of Horus commonly referred to formations intended to prosecute rapid assaults as spear tips. In eschewing formality and fixed structure above the basic level of the company, Horus demonstrated his pragmatism and his preference for waging war with judged precision. Within the Sons of Horus Legion, squads commonly had their own honorific and epithetic titles rather than simple numeration. Illuminators Prime, Death Markers, Jerox Reavers, the First Sons, and similar, while some were named for the sergeant or chieftain that led them where their leader's own reputation was strong enough alone. Many of these titles portrayed the culture of Chthonian gang honors and the traditions of reputation and internecine warfare. This had, over the years, grown steadily stronger within the rank and file of the Legion's intake. One avatar of this increasing influence was the late re-emergence of Chthonian gang sigils, graven into a particular Space Marine's armor recording notable kills and deeds, as well as to which company they belonged, a practice which accelerated rapidly after the Legion had transitioned into its identity as the Sons of Horus. This transition marked not so much a new open brutality in the Legion, but a factor that had always been there and had become more visible as the Legion's panoply finally began to shrug off much of the influence of ancient terror. In the final days of the Great Crusade, the white of the lunar wolves turned sea green, then darkened further to a murky verdigris green-black as the Sons of Horus further cast off the disciplined Terran traditions of warfare and heraldry, and erred in pride and growing malice towards the dark heart of Chthoniya, and its traditions of gang fiefdom, blood pride, and merciless, incessant conflict. The Sons of Horus have also been documented as the first legion to foster warrior lodges, those most secret societies of like-minded battle brothers. Though they venerated no god or occult principle, the ritual and secret elements of the warrior lodges did not fit with the ruthless rationality of the imperial truth. Frowned upon but tolerated, the lodges persisted and flourished. They survived in part because many saw them as relatively harmless, and in part because they promoted fellowship within and between legions. It was a misjudgment that would have consequences that few could imagine, as they were corrupted by dark powers to act against the interests of the Imperium. Ultimately, it would be the Sons of Horus and their Primarch which tore the galaxy asunder. The Primarch, Horus Lupercal, once a world of riches colonized in the lost past, Chthoniya had been gutted over thousands of years and left a hollowed-out carcass. Death came easily, and its people were grim and savage as a result. But from this barbaric world would rise the greatest general the galaxy would ever witness, Horus Lupercal. Contradictions and omission tarnishes all accounts of Horus's formative years. For every grain of truth as to his origins, there are a dozen legends and myths, the great leader himself only adding to the tally. It is believed he was the first of the Primarchs to be found, and spent long years alone with the Emperor before his father's attention was split between his brother Primarchs. One thing remains without question, and that is that both before and after the War Master's fall from light, he remained a superlative leader, master tactician and peerless orator, the like of which the galaxy had not before seen, nor has borne witness to since. Many say he was second only to the Emperor himself in charisma and will. As War Master, Horus was a peerless diplomat and general, able to convince any of his brother Primarchs to the justness of a cause for which he desired their legions. To mortals, he was a demigod, whose majesty alone cowed Lords Martial, though he was never accused of abusing his own majesty, instead always debating strategy in equal and open discourse, and respecting the views of those around him. Always Horus would be seen in good humour, surrounded by his brother Primarchs and Imperialis Auxilia advisors. It was the great tragedy of the age that the Emperor's favourite son would fall to darkness and treachery. The spark that gave fire to the rebellion in Horus's heart must remain a mystery which can never be perceived by mortals. Only those who were there, that saw and heard all, may know, and they are lost. What is known is that during this time after he became War Master, Horus fell grievously ill while quelling a rebellion on the moons of Davin, and was taken by his warriors to the once Daventine warrior lodges. What transpired within the walls of that place is unknown. All that can be said with any certainty is that from the moment of his stepping from the Serpent Lodge on Davin, Horus trod on the path of heresy. This has been the Sons of Horus from the Great Crusade. Thank you for watching.